Well, I'm gonna go get some coffee to heat up on the fire for some cowboy coffee. All right. I get my coffee in my coffee pot to make cowboy coffee. It's actually not bitter coffee as people believe it to be. You get the coffee to the point of boiling, which this is already pre-made coffee from yesterday. Just was sitting in the pot and it got cold, and so now I heat it up to the point of boiling. And if it gets to rapid boil for 5 minutes, it actually causes the acid that's in coffee to transform, and it gets rid of bitterness. So, like most things in life, it's the opposite of what the majority of people think. But anyhow, I've been sitting out here all night. There was a little chill in the air earlier, so I had to put up some old pieces of fences, wind screen. A bit of chill going on. And I ordered myself a tent online. Because I do want to do some camping and go out on at least one more adventure before I get too old. I'd like to go out and find my way back to Maine and get some land there and have an adventure. Maybe build a cabin or do some kind of primitive survival type thing. More towards building a cabin. But there may be primitive survival as I'm working on the cabin. Which, if I did go off and go on another adventure and do some primitive survival stuff, and build a cabin, I document it on YouTube. Somebody just took a peek in here and then went away. Oh, my coffee's heating up, but it's not rapid boil. I can hear it. Looks like it may be boiling pretty soon. Getting hot. Looks like it's gonna boil soon. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Yeah, it's got up to boiling temperature for a minute or two. That's good enough. I don't need to cook it the full 5 minutes. I got hot chocolate, powdered milk, and sugar in here, so it'll be just fine. I have to wait a little bit for it to cool down now that the coffee was boiling. It's mixed up nice. Need the cover off a bit. It'll cool down. Morning air is cool. I just leave it sitting on the side here outside of my windbreak area. I'll put that down there on the brick. Good morning, whoever just popped in here. I'm gonna pull that grill off. So it looks like I'm gonna have to put a little more wood in here. Been sitting here all night. I'm trying to get this wood that's in here to the point of burned off. Okay, got some more wood here. That one. pretty hot now. Any real flame going on in there right now. Not a lot of flame. I have to add some sticks to get that stuff burning. I guess them coals are pretty hot. Nice way to start the morning. Coffee heated up on an outdoor fire. Sitting up here all night. Oh, good morning, Sophia. It's 3 a.m. here and you're back on. Did not rain here last night. Well, it's 4 a.m. here and I've been outside all night. I had some thick wood in the fire pit, so I was waiting for it to burn down, and I had to put up a windbreak out here. I don't know if you can see it. Actually, if I turn my headlamp on, you can see it. I put some sawhorses up, and I put a couple of pieces of old fence. A piece of old fence on this side here with a shovel propping it up for a windbreak because it was getting a little bit chilly when the wind picked up a little. But it worked. It worked just fine. Just heated up my coffee on the fire a little bit ago. Put it to the side here for it to cool down. It got to the point of boiling, but I'm going to boil it the full 5 minutes. And a minute or so, or a minute and a half into it, I wanted the coffee more than I wanted to wait. The hotter it gets, the more time it takes for it to cool down till I can drink it, and I won't drink it. Ah, delicious. Absolutely delicious. Coffee sounds nice and some this way. Well, it's mocha that I got going on here. What I do is I buy big cans of Swiss Miss hot milk chocolate mix and Swiss Miss powdered milk, and I mix them together 50-50. And I use that plus some extra sugar to sweeten it up more. And it makes some pretty yummy coffee. And I don't have to get liquid creamer or milk or anything like that. I like to eat and drink things that I can stockpile. I do like some of the liquid creamers, but I can't really stockpile that stuff. Heck, I ordered something else last night. I ordered a tent, and I ordered, I don't remember what the other thing was that I ordered. It was something that just popped up in the search results, and it was something that I wanted to add to my stuff, and I ordered it. So it really didn't stick in my mind what it was that I ordered. I use no sugar at all, just some milk, but coffee is getting hotter for me. I tend to need to put ice cube in when it is just done. Yeah, I remember years ago when I used to drink black coffee. I used to put an ice cube in it because it was extra hot. I imagine you use a drip percolator, not a percolator. Yeah, a drip coffee maker. Yeah, the percolator is the older-fashioned one with the metal screener basket in it. I like tea also. I always keep plenty of those on hand because I can make iced tea too. I use a small percolator on the stove. Husband cannot drink coffee. Is it one of those mini ones like people use to make espresso? Actually, I got one. Actually, it was a 2-pack, not one. And it's a 2-quart mason jar. Each one of them is a 2-quart mason jar, and it can be used to make coffee, or it's sold as to make cold tea. And it got a excuse me. It is about 2 cups, like a camping pot. Oh, okay. tea is good too. Arabic green tea is super smooth. I've gotten green tea before, but I don't know if it was Arabic or not. I never looked that closely at it. But the coffee maker that I got it so that I could just boil water and then just pour it into the mason jar with a thin strainer in it, metal strainer, so it doesn't have to have paper filters. I used it as an experiment, and I only used it one time when the power went out, because I could heat the water up on my little butane stove. Arabic tea is unbelievable. Is it expensive? I want to say the last time I got a box of green tea, it was $5 or $6 for a box of 100, which is 2 to 3 times what the black tea is, but it's still not. I wouldn't consider it expensive. Not really expensive. Cool. I visit the Middle Eastern stores whenever I go through a major city. I don't think I ever been to a Middle Eastern store. I've been to some Spanish stores and Chinese store. I use cardamom spice for cancer, and it is available there. I've been seeing some videos pop up on YouTube that ivermectin. There's claims being made that ivermectin helps to destroy cancer cells. Forrest Fenn used cardamom spice as well. It was in his, I don't know, the buttons blocking the rest of that. And also Once Upon a While. I'm guessing that you're referring to the scrapbook where you had a picture. Yep, SB. Yeah, I bought some ivermectin also. Okay, so you've looked into that and decided to try it. Yeah, I think people were using ivermectin when that COVID-19 had happened, and then it was helping people. But the so-called medical experts were denouncing it, that it wasn't so. They're almost the same. Ivermectin is for horses, and cardamom was used by people. Oh. Yes, I remember there was something said about horses, and that's why it was being denounced, because that's for horses. I think there's a lot of medications that are given to animals that can actually work with people. Ivermectin just gives the immune system a boost that is needed for the body to recognize foreign cells like cancer cells. Yes, that's the basic way all medicines work. The medicines don't actually do anything other than trick the body somehow into doing something that helps the person heal. Many countries use ivermectin and it appears to work. So it works for those who have cancer due to lack of immune systems. COVID is, I'm not sure what that word is. Something, known to weaken immune system. It's funny when the words get trapped behind the button, it actually shrinks the word. It doesn't show all the letters. So I thought there was like a 2-letter word there. I suffered COVID-19 a number of times and so decided I could use the boost to the immune system. Yeah, I really don't know if I got COVID or not. Unless it's something that causes me to lay down and not get up, I just keep going. And we were told that we had to keep working while other people getting laid off and getting over $1,000 a month from unemployment. We were told that we were necessary workers. We were just, we were repairing buildings. We're construction workers and we do masonry restoration and waterproofing. One of the buildings I was working on had it's either a senator or a congressman, I don't remember. One of those, senator or congressman, had his office there. And in that building, we were told after the fact that there was a woman that kept coming to work for weeks while she knew she had COVID. I'm like, really? So one of the workers there said, yeah, I just felt that I had to tell you guys when I heard about that, even though we were told not to say anything. Cardamom is used to ward off parasites in the Middle East. Oh. So we worked through the whole COVID-19 pandemic thing. People would have a cup of cardamom tea with dinner. I think it says with. Yeah, it's amazing the things that people discovered throughout history in order to help people heal. I think that's one of the things that shows that the history of humans is a lot longer than people believe it to be. Wondered where Forrest Fenn learned about cardamom as it was in his list of spices. Well, he probably tried all kinds of things instead of just relying on his surgery and whatever he was given for medication after that. Probably tried many things. Actually, not not at my location for my salt, but in the general area. There was a natural healing center there. And that's what I thought. I was like, I bet he came here. I think FF used holistic treatment as well as what. Yes, totally agree with that. Like the cloves, he described them were like the strong chemo that is given. I think he did anything that was about healing. Yes. Yep. I think he put nothing to chance. He tried everything that he could. And he made it. I mean, heck, he made it to hit 90 years old. That's, to me, that's pretty impressive. If I could get to 90 years old and have my wits about me as well as Forrest had, that would be amazing. People miss the message about the spices. I think it all represented cancer healing treatments. Maybe. Yeah. Yep. That might have been why he had showed those things. He used so many things. I wonder if he knew what helped. And I was shocked about the cardamom as I learned about it from Middle Eastern travel plans. Oh, so you actually have traveled to the Middle East also? Oh, actually, I had a visa for KSA Saudi. The king died, so I did not get to travel. Yeah, I remember hearing some stories about Forrest, though, that I don't remember the countries, but that he had done some treasure hunting. You know who did a lot around that area, around the Middle East and Africa, was Forrest's best friend, Larry Burke. When I was in Thailand, the king died just after I arrived. He was a great man. FF Horseman did a lot of artifact hunting, and I think he learned a lot. Yes, yes, that's That's one of the things. Studying anything ancient tends to have a lot of different types of information come forward. Like with my studies with the ancient people of the Middle East and what we call Egypt, which was called Mizraim in the Hebrew language. They were doing brain surgery 5,000 years ago in Egypt. They were using opium as anesthesia. They were using blue lotus as a recreational drug. They gave to the workers, they gave out beer and bread. See, that was the thing. You know, they talk about slave labor in Egypt, and they did have slave labor for criminals. Criminals had state slave labor. But other than that, it was generally farmers that off farming, when it wasn't farming time, they would work for the Egyptian government and get paid and fed. Only Western medicine depends on medical treatments. Most Middle Eastern and Eastern medicine is typical home remedies. Amazing what people use, but yeah, medicine was around for a long time. Yeah, and I think because I even bought a replica of what's called the Narmer palette. And Narmer was the guy that unified Upper and Lower Egypt, and he was probably also went by the name of Menes, Menes. But if you looked on the Narmer palette, he has a mace, and he's striking someone on the head, which was, it was a brutal way that they did the unification. But Narmer's name, the pictographs, one is a catfish, which they have electric catfish, and another was a chisel. And then they showed a bird on top of the head of one of the people, and they showed another picture that had the head severed from the bodies. But I think that was symbolism, because the bird had what looked like a wire rope, a wire or a rope. Some people call it a rope, but something stranded. I think it was wires, because the way that they used to make mummies is they would go through the nostril and they'd bash through the front of the skull in the nostril area to access the brain to do the mummification process. That would serve also to do lobotomies, but it endangers it risks that the people would lose their sense of smell. That's why when lobotomies got used on, I'll call it a wholesale level in America, they would go through the eye socket. But I was like, that makes perfect sense. That's what they were doing. They were disconnecting the mind from the body. They were eliminating the people's personality to make them docile so that they would do what they're told. Well, that's the way I read it anyhow. But nonetheless, they had the capability, they had the anesthesia. They certainly could have been doing that. They were known to do brain surgeries. I mean, what other kind of brain surgery would they do other than a lobotomy? Yeah, sounds about what I learned. Yeah, it's amazing some of the things that were possible that long ago. Oh, it's delicious. Did you notice the full moon out last night? I gave up on the Western medicine for cancer. Just keep up on melanoma checks. The rest is on and off ivermectin and cardamom. I can put, I think there's the word cardamom in food or in coffee. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it was lighter outside but cloudy. So the full moon is not just is bright. Yeah, it was a bit cloudy here, and I actually took my camera phone and brought it over, and it doesn't look that way currently, but it looked like that there was an aura around the moon because the way the light was refracting through the clouds. It was red on the outside of the aura, and then it got orange and yellow and white as it got close to the moon. But it's still cloudy out here today, but it only looked like that when the moon was in the direct south. Oh boy. Have this last bit of coffee as long as nothing crawled inside it. I had it on the ground. I don't see any bugs or slugs in it. I'm gonna back up a little here. The full moon was important in the thrill of the chase. The long walk depended upon the full moon as a spotlight. The natives waited for it to begin their escape back home. The same as with the trout. Oh, I don't remember those. I don't remember those parts in the book. I ended up leaving my copy of the book at a historic inn that I was searching at in November of 2014 because I thought it was interfering. I was just looking at it too much, and I started feeling it was causing problems, leading me in a direction that I didn't that I didn't think was right. I was thinking I was just coming up with an idea because of things that were in the book that was just too much. That at some point, I think Forrest did add things there that he had gone to places that would be good candidates for solves, and then he would put features of those places in his book because, I mean, even people that would look at his scrapbooks and say, oh, he's hinting at this and hinting at that in order to assist in the poem being solved, but that's not the purpose of the treasure hunt. The treasure hunt is like a game of hide and seek where he's trying to keep it away from people. He's not trying to assist people to get there, other than the hints, the subtle hints that he said that he put in there. Okay, what happened here? Spawning in the spring, natives. The trout would wait for the full moon to battle up creek to spawn in the spring. I don't know if it was full moons, but when I was a kid, I lived near a river called the Mystic River, and it went up to some lakes called the Mystic Lakes. And between the lower Mystic Lake and the upper Mystic Lake was a dam. And the herring that would come from the ocean would come all the way up there and climb up the waterfalls at the dam. It was pretty cool. But I don't know if it involved a full moon or not. Oops. When the natives got home, all the peach trees were cut down and stumps were left. Wait a second. The full moon was used for grave robbers and artifact hunters to see without a specific flashlight to hide while they searched. Okay. The natives got home and peach trees were cut down and stumps left. They assumed that was from European settlers trying to destroy food sources for the natives, like the same mentality of killing all the buffalo on the plains to get rid of a food source. Evil bastards. Forrest's friend knew people would not see the treasure. He would hint and watch them take him literally. Well, I have no doubt that he did some hints, but I think people took it overboard. I mean, some people. I mean, I'm going to use Dave Woodard as an example. He went through the book and he came up with thousands of references that he said had to do with comic books. I mean, it was to the point of absolute ridiculousness. There was one of the comic book publishers made 27,000 comic books. There's going to be similar words and phrases in those books compared to the thrill of the chase, just due to the volume of the books. But I'm not really sure what you meant by people would not see the treasure. He would hint and watch them take him literally. But I mean, the concept of people not understanding what it is that he was saying, yeah, that was something that he was proud of. Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of times where he's referred, where he either asked a person questions or there was questions that were referred to in the mysterious writings, whatever those words, weekly words, or whatever kind of monthly words, I don't know what the hell they were. But that he would make a question, but people wouldn't, I don't think people understood that if the person answered the question, that they would get information, but it's not that he was trying to give them the information that was the question. He wanted them to answer the question to themselves and see how that settled in with them. Forrest Fenn told me to tell Cynthia myself in 2015. Forrest Fenn knew she would try to get there and take it, but knew she would never recognize the treasure. I don't know what words after treasure, but I'm going to guess and. Treasure and steal it. To steal it. It was a treasure of another kind, yet searchers would seek the treasure of the same kind. I'm not sure what word starts that next sentence, but ended up with a trout with a nickname, the something. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember you explaining about trout and how trout was associated, and one of the places you had gone to was a fish hatchery, but I don't remember all the details that you had said. Ended up with a trout with a nickname, the Gold. Oh, I think I remember that. Did you nickname the trout Gold, or was that something that other people had nicknamed that particular trout was in the area that you were going to? Because I'm thinking I remember you mentioning something about a trout nicknamed Gold, but I don't remember the details of it. No, where warm waters halt, nicknamed the trout or used that nickname from the anglers, but it was well known. Okay, I guess I don't understand the where warm waters how halt reference comes into play because I don't remember if you had said that before. Is the Department of Game and Fish, which is exactly 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. One Wilderness Way, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Oh, okay. Is that where the hatchery is too? Or just the office for the game and fish? They also mentioned the olive jar that had 20,000 words. So you're associating words with fish? That's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking. You're associating the words in the whatever it was that he put in the jar, but the words just being a large number, 20,000, is a reference to fish, like at the fish hatchery, because there's a whole lot in a confined space. In the Cold Spring, they ran a free volunteers event to stock the gold into its native waters. Yes, words are the fingerlings that were put in jars to be hiked one way in and same way out to restock them so generations to come would be able to fish for them. Aha, I see. Ooh, and put the cover on my coffee. I almost spilled it all on my lap. Oh boy. Careful. That would have been terrible if I dumped that whole coffee right in my lap. All right. Ooh, there's a lot of coals down there. Insulated though. Ooh. That's burning my knuckles. Oh my gosh. What? Oh, excuse me. I get some flames going on again. I'm gonna have to cut up and break up sticks, dried branches and stuff today. If I want to have another fire soon. Okay. Where was I? Okay, earlier times man-made mistakes by putting aliens, foreign fish into the native waters. It was done to make the fishing vacations better. It did. The brown trout were bigger and better for pictures. Then it was discovered by natives and non-vacationer anglers that the native fish, the gold, were suffering and headed to extinction because of the bullies of brown rainbow, and brook. Back in the 70s, Forrest Fenn would stalk the brown trout into the native waters. In the thrill of the chase, a vacation meant to enrich oneself with a bigger and better time so they could report back about what others missed. Vacation and having a good vacation was a negative to the thrill of the chase. I guess I don't understand why the vacation is, and having a good vacation was a negative to the thrill of the chase. In the thrill of the chase, a vacation meant to enrich oneself with a bigger and better time so they could report back about what others missed. Forrest Fenn wanted someone to volunteer to help fix the problem by restocking the original trout. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes it clearer. That fire is ablazing. Ooh-wee. That fire is ablazing. Forrest Fenn wanted to fix the vacation greed that Fred Harvey and others capitalized on. Huh. I guess I don't know what vacation greed you're talking about. You're talking about the fact of altering the fish species in the water, in the waterways, because it was being greedy, wanting to have bigger fish in the waterways. Thrill of the chase was about finding the person would see that it asked for help for the underdog, the gold. It was to dedicate one's efforts so that history of vacations for profit times were changed back. Yes, that is the vacation. People wanted to boast after their vacation. No doubt. I mean, a person that boasts doesn't just boast about their vacation. They boast about whatever that they feel they can boast about. People still want to boast. It is social media and selfies that they use to show off. Well, see, that's the thing. There's the generation that got into the social media and really got it moving is a generation that a bunch of mommy's boys and mommy's boys and girls that got praised for the littlest, tiniest things that they did, that they actually think they're smarter than they are because they were praised over the littlest, tiniest of achievements. It's really detrimental to society. You know, We got so many people that have this extremely high level of confidence in what it is that they talk about when they're really not very well educated whatsoever. But they're so used to getting praise for the tiniest little increments that they do, they think they deserve, they think they deserve $1 million to sweep the floor at McDonald's. Oh, it's 5 in the morning. Gotta be careful. I'm getting loud here. Back in the time, people would take train excursions. Fred Harvey would do the things that Forrest Fenn claimed to do later on. Fred would wait for the trains to make a stop. Fred would send out transportation to bring the vacationers to his restaurants and hotels and curio shops. Forrest Fenn did the same things with the celebrities when they would be met at airports to be taken to the Forrest Fenn Gallery. Oh yeah, Forrest Fenn was into the high end stuff. No doubt, that's why people wanted to buy stuff from him to boast amongst their friends of what they were able to acquire. Fred used white table linens and the Hobby Girls, while Forrest Fenn would have alligators in the desert, whatever it took to give vacationers something to boast about. Then Fred and Forrest Fenn would lighten their wallets. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to admit, for Forrest Fenn, just the fact of wanting to get into luxury goods where the profit margins are enormous is a pretty smart move. And it's a pretty risky move, too, because he didn't know anything at all about it. See, like me, my business mentality has always been about commodities and things that people need on a daily basis. And I'm more about lowering prices than increasing prices on luxurious things. Research turquoise. LOL. One never touches the real blue turquoise because it would get ruined. When Forrest Fenn says touch, it was the same as saying it was a knockoff and not real. Well, that's. I think that falls in line with Forrest Fenn not wanting to do the same things that the majority was doing. He'd find things like you were saying, the correlation between the way Fred Harvey did business, that he probably seen that as unique and it was very good, so he copied it. Turquoise was blue. Anything done in green color was a symbol that it was fake. Look at the find picture. Jack wore green and Forrest Fenn wore blue. It was a message that Jack was not real. Forrest Fenn copied Harvey, yes, and it worked. Purple was another important color. Yeah, purple was a color that the nobles liked to wear. Forrest Fenn gave the message about purple, but no one caught it. Forrest Fenn told Cynthia about statements from Alan Turing movie, The Imitation Game. I don't think I know anything about Imitation Game. Cynthia would take the message and repeat the quote. She never did the research. Forrest Fenn wanted people to do more research. It turns out that The Imitation Game was not a true documentary about Alan Turing. The real documentary was The Code Breakers. Yeah, that's that's the kind of thing that I do. Forrest Fenn's poem was right up my alley because it was it was word codes, and in order for it to make the poem to make sense, the person had to be on the right track and understand between the poem and the things that they were witnessing as they're going through the poem and going through the physical locations. So when they got to the end where it says the answers I already know, they know what to do. In the code breaker, Alan talks to his psychiatrist about math and nature and how it worked. He also mentioned that bees used a different vision. Bees would see purple or ultraviolet light to find the pollen. Bees would, in essence, see what people could not see. Yeah, I'm still not sure if I've ever seen that movie. I don't know. It was the same with the treasure of another kind. Cynthia could have my solve and yet never see the treasure. She was not using ultraviolet vision. She was not looking at the area as an angler like that. Uh, well, I don't really think Cynthia's the brightest bulb in the shed anyhow. Like when I mean, I've watched videos with her having discussions and K Pro, and neither one of them is very bright. Yeah, they're manipulative people, and they probably think that that's really cool and good and helpful and whatever. If that's the way they want to live their life, that's for them to choose how to live their life. But as far as being bright, intelligent, I don't think so. Code whisperers for in the Marines, they were known as the Teeth in the Rockies. Yeah, my first search location is in the vicinity of the Tooth of Time, which in part of my solving in that location, I used where the sun came up, running in line with the Tooth of Time as two different blazes correlating and, and trying to hone in on a location. When I got to a point where I decided that I was gonna leave that area, and I did. That's when I left my book behind at that place. And I went on to my next. That is why I believe Forrest Fenn never hid a literal box of stuff. It was hidden, yes, but it was fingerlings in the rocks following a mile hike. Only an angler would know that you cannot catch the fish in the place that they were hidden. There was too many rocks and a fly would get caught in the rocks. One had to go to another spot to retrieve. Cynthia stated she was not interested in the not sure what that word is before stuff. Cynthia stated she was not interested in the something stuff. Oh, and the fish stuff. She was used to send messages. Yeah, messages to confuse people and fool people, just like she was confused and fooled. Well, so far it looks like Forrest Fenn won the game. He he got everything he wanted out of it. Whatever this thing that is supposedly Forrest's plan that Shiloh was supposed to mention, that's the only thing anybody can look forward to that's liable to happen. Forrest Fenn did help the woman who gave the exact spot to get the treasure. He did it on open blogs. Forrest Fenn made a mistake and the lawyer got nervous and messed up. Shiloh should have stayed out of it. He should never have interacted with searchers or streamers. His interaction put him in a bad place. He is waiting for the statute of limitations of Forrest Fenn's death to pass so that no one could use I don't know what that word is. Use anymore. Oh, sue. Well, yeah, I mean, nobody can sue at this point. Nobody can sue. And if Forrest Fenn uses an LLC in order to transfer anything, whoever ends up with that transfer can't have it taken away from them, because the next person to own either part of or the whole LLC is not responsible for anything that the prior person did. No, they cannot sue Forrest Fenn or Forrest Fenn's estate, but they can sue anyone who intentionally extended the thrill of the chase. And why is that? because the thrill of the chase was seen as a scam due to do something mistake Forrest Fenn made. Due to a mistake Forrest Fenn made. To get out of the mistake, Forrest Fenn had to do an alternative ending and was supposed to be completed then. Actually, I think it looks more like the alternative ending was the original plan. I mean, heck, I had even thought that way back in 2014 and 2015 that there could be a plan for a specific date, and that's why all the dates were put in the book, the postage stamp dates. But someone decided out of Netflix money agreed to extend the thrill of the chase and sold the literal box. That is where the scam got extended. No, it was not the original plan. It was an urgent get out now. Well, I guess we have a different opinion on this. There was an original plan with June 6th date. Well, there was Friday, June 5th postmark on the treasure chest page inside of the Thrill of the Chase book. And there was only 2 Friday, June 5ths during the chase. 2015 was the first one and 2020 was the second one. It was supposed to end in 2018. Yeah, I was supposed to go get it too in 2018. Sure seemed that way. Well, the date changes slightly given the X. Something year, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, exact. Yeah, it's funny because I moved the comment section trying to get a peek behind the button, but it did not, and certainly the T didn't come up, and it only looked like there was 2 letters behind there. All right. No, it was supposed to end in 2018 because the conservation plans were supposed to be done in 2018. Oh, well, I mean, I have a different opinion, but I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. That's kind of why it'd be nice that that there was Forrest Fenn's plan told to the public that Shiloh knows about. I think we're actually owed that by Shiloh now to explain to us what is this plan that Forrest had. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to discuss things. You know, there can be vital information that can still be kept secret, but just tell people a general statement of What was the plan? What was looking to be achieved? Shiloh should never have stated that. Well, I don't know if he should have or shouldn't have. Only time will tell, I guess. Because I don't know what this thing is that he's going to say. I mean, I have my own ideas on what's possible. It means that Shiloh is intentionally hiding the truth and thereby extending the scam. Big mistake on his part. Well, I don't think there's any evidence of any scam. What is the actual thing that you think is a scam? JP was supposed to do the honest project that it turns out that it extends the thrill of the chase. Well, I don't see any extension of the thrill of the chase. That is true. There is no known evidence of a scam or these. Well, it's not a T. I think it's an A, just an A. When it is obvious that the thrill of the chase was a scam, that is when the statute of limitation begins. Well, you're talking in the legal realm, nothing is obvious. That's called prima facie evidence, face value evidence, which doesn't prove anything. Forrest Fenn is dead, and so no one could sue him after a number of years. And nobody could sue anybody else either. They did not realize that selling the chase something that they were meant that they were selling the scam. But when Netflix comes out, it will then be obvious. Well, it's not that simple. I mean, people can think all kinds of stuff when certain information comes out. That doesn't make it correct, and that doesn't mean that anybody could sue anybody and get anything based on whatever this is that's going to come out that's going to make everything obvious. I mean, there's already a lot of people that left, and that's exactly what they thought, that it was a scam. I mean, the whole Jack thing certainly did not look correct. Did not look correct, didn't smell correct, didn't sound correct. That still doesn't mean it was a scam. Research the scams like romance scams where people scam, go ahead and participate in scamming others. It is odd, but the law. I'm really not sure what that even means. Well, see, that's the thing about suing. Yeah, some people are sue happy. They wanna sue, but you know, anybody that turns around and sues always runs the risk of the person that they're suing. Like with Forrest, he used a high price law firm, $400 an hour for the lawyer's fees. $400 an hour, that adds up quick. And then if the person that's claiming the scam is so erroneous in their accusations, they could even get punitive damages put on them. So not just the cost of the lawyer's fees for a person to defend themselves, but like with McCracken, what he was saying was just so erroneous that he lost a condominium over it. It was created not to be a scam, but Forrest Fenn messed up and it became an issue. Well, I don't know what he messed up with. I mean, even if you look at what Shiloh was saying, and I only have seen very little bit of the Netflix shows that were on, but I seen one where Shiloh was talking. Now I can't think of what it was that he was saying because I seen such little amounts out of it. Oh, he was talking about the ending and how his grandfather wanted to discuss an alternative ending to make them less of a target, which is very realistic. I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of a solver being protected, where Forrest wasn't ever going to say anything about the person or the place where the treasure location was, in order to protect the person. Because there's a lot of nutbags out there. There's still some. Not as many as there was before. A lot of them went their own way because they're not going to be able to break off a piece of the action. And that's what they try to do, is they try to break off a piece of the action one way or another, either by hook or by crook. There's some pretty bad actors that were involved. Not as many anymore. And that's only, what we that are out in the public have seen. Forrest had communications with a lot of people. So, he had communications with like that Pablo guy that was going to kidnap his granddaughter. I mean, that's a level of lunacy, because people want to find a way to get large amounts of money. And some people have no morals or scruples whatsoever. There's a lot of con people, con men. There's a lot of them in the chase. We've seen them out there. We've seen them talk on YouTube and do live YouTube shows. There's a lot. There's a lot of con men, and there's still some that are in the chase. Yeah, legal fees add up. I just don't believe in legal actions unless I have zero chance and must defend myself. I leave it to karma, if at all possible. I did not see Netflix either. I only saw clips that others showed. Yep, that's all I got to see. Target, yes, because they viewed it through their lawyer's eyes and feared getting sued. There are tons, and they are in the wings just waiting, in my opinion. Can't be bothered with any of them. Well, they're waiting, but they ain't gonna be able to do a goddamn thing. Even if the end result ended up being that Jack was put in place in order to be the face of the end, and whoever that he was protecting comes out and says it was me, there's still nothing that people can do legitimately. It's just up to the individual if they want to have to deal with some of these people, and maybe they do. You never know. Maybe the solver does want to deal with some of the people. They can sue, and that does not mean they will win. Right. Actually, it's worse than not winning. It's them being punished for false accusations and stuff. You know, Barbara Anderson, she kept using that phrase, litigation privilege. That only goes so far. That only goes so far. You know, if the person wants to stomp all over the person that's abusing litigation privilege to the point that they're slandering, they're committing fraud, they're not allowed to do that. That's not a privileged thing of a litigant. Yes, she was the one I had concern about. Yeah, I mean, she's a nut job. She is real cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know, it looks like in recent months she traveled all the way up to Maine, and she thinks Doug Preston is communicating with her somehow. I really doubt that. I really, really doubt that she is communicating with Doug Preston. I think somebody may be impersonating Doug Preston and leading her on. I had sent an email she sent me to the FBI. It was that bad, threatening to me. Well, I'm sorry you had to have that happen. Or had that, not have, but had that happen. Oh, nuts to the max. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she really does sound like she's out of her mind. And if she's traveling the country from one side of the country to the other side of the country and back again, because somebody's stringing her along pretending to be Doug Preston, she's also stupid then. She's not just crazy, but she's stupid kind of crazy. I mean, why would she not verify it other than she doesn't want to verify it? Oh, I've had it come across I'm not even subscribed to her, and I've seen stuff, her postings come across in the YouTube results. Yeah, she took a trip from wherever the heck she was, New Mexico, all the way out to Virginia, where she said that she was told by Doug Preston to wait there in Virginia, that she was, that they were going to work on the ending the real ending. And then she started heading up the coast and went up through New York, New Jersey, New York, and went all the way up into Maine, up the northern coast of Maine, up past where Doug's main house is. And then, I don't know, I think it was New York. New York was one of the last posts that was in that series. But yeah, I looked at them posts and I'm like, man, she's out of her friggin' mind. Yes, Sophia. Look at her posts. If you go to her YouTube page and you look at the post section, she has a whole bunch of posts of her trip that she went out to Virginia and then went up to the coast of Maine. I mean, this is like real stalker stuff. That's what I think it is. I don't think anybody's fooling her, even though it's possible that it's happened. I think she's trying to scare Doug is what she's trying to do. Because she was hanging out in the area of New Mexico and making videos near where he lived in New Mexico. And then she does this trip and says that she's talking with Doug and getting these messages, and she was told to wait in Virginia, and then she headed up the coast of Maine. I think she's doing all that to scare Doug. I really do. Which is not a smart thing for anybody to do, really. To do something like that to people. Yeah, it sounds like she's trying to scare him into having him give her the money. Well, I wouldn't even say the money, just give her money, period. There is no the money that she's entitled to. I really extremely doubt that there's anything that she would be entitled to, seeing as she's told us the story. She had coffee with Forrest. Forrest said that he thought she was crazy and that her location, he's never heard of it, and has nothing to do with the treasure hunt. She's been told all those things, and she still has poo-pooed it all. It's absolutely ridiculous. She thinks that she has a way that she can get somebody to give her something she's doesn't deserve, isn't entitled to. And, she essentially stalked Forrest when he was alive by going to his house and leaving things at the front gate and ringing the bell and running away and leaving costumes there and making it known that they were from her. And it's just crazy. It's serious celebrity stalking. And that's what I would consider what's going on with her traveling to Maine, that she was doing celebrity stalking of Doug. She's not alone, unfortunately. There are others out there still. Well, no doubt. No doubt there's other people out there still. But that's the thing. The people don't just disappear because the treasure hunt's over. If they do leave the public eye, that doesn't mean that they've gone to a foreign land somewhere, and but there's no sense worrying about it either. I got stalked in my life hack because people thought I had the chest. I asked Forrest Fenn to make sure that box showed up at any announcement. It did, and I still got stalked for my book. Unbelievable. I asked Forrest Fenn to make sure that box showed up at any announcement. Someone tried to have me murdered in an emergency room of all places. They left a chase message that something into the medical record. That got something into the medical record? That sounds pretty bizarre. And when I say bizarre, I mean that type of thing that anybody would do something and interfere with somebody's medical records is pretty bizarre. It is amazing I am still alive. I was left for dead and transported from Santa Fe to Albuquerque. The receiving facility insisted I was dead. So that was in your medical record that you were deceased, and then you were transported from Santa Fe to Albuquerque. Were you unconscious? The medical record has the chase information. Yes, I was 100% unconscious. Okay, so you were unconscious, and so I'm guessing it was a nurse declared you dead, and that's what was in your medical record. But what does that have? How is that chase information? I should have died. They claim medical issue of suicide to excuse the death. Yes, a nurse thought I was dead. Well, I don't understand where you state that there was chase information in your medical record. Chase information was that they claimed I said in a suicide, I have a rope, dot, dot, dot. I was teacher with ropes. Oh, so they're claiming that there was a note? The medical record claims I committed suicide due to the chase. It is all fake, but it is still there. They tried again, and I fought being brought to another ER. Yes, they claim that I committed suicide. Well, it wouldn't be committing suicide. It would be an attempted suicide. Yeah, see, that's one of the things with the medical establishment in this country where a nurse is allowed to declare somebody dead. They drained all the fluid from my body. I lost about 25 pounds. Well, I got a question for you. Did you end up under psychiatric care? They did an examination, saw I was barely alive. That is when my husband was first contacted. What a sick game, all for a solve. They can have the solve. Yes, that is where they sent me. Did did they give you Haldol there? That facility found there was nothing but stress found. They reported on what happened in the ER, and now it waits for the ending of the truth. After the chemical restraint, they put in a catheter. Yeah, but did they give you a drug called Haldol? And 9 hours later, still alive, they ordered an ambulance transport. The ambulance found I had no oxygen. Haldol is in the chemical restraints, so yes. That's an evil drug right there. That is an evil drug right there, Haldol. That's known as a torture drug. It was used in the Soviet Union to torture political dissidents, and it was used in this country and given to illegal immigrants that entered the country illegally before they shipped them back. So they got them all screwed up on Haldol and then sent them back. That's some evil stuff right there. I've had some firsthand experience with that. It is pure evil. The hospital was not even monitoring my life. I needed oxygen, and it took the ambulance driver to notice. Yeah, that's incompetence there, and that is the reality of our medical establishment in this country. Serious level incompetence stuff. I spent 9 hours in the ER getting pumped up. Something to kill me. Now why? I don't know. I don't know how you ended up there to begin with. I don't know what the possibility of what people were realistically thinking. Or should have, I should say, what people should have been realistically thinking. I have no money and my husband is 100% disabled. We had nothing. It was a chase, as was noted in the medical records of both the ER and the psych facility. Well, yeah, you had mentioned that was whatever it was. I mean, you just put it in quotes. If they found a suicide note, or you had just spoken that the teachers with rote statement, you never really clarified how that happened or how people came up with that statement that supposedly came from you. I was in the ER for a stroke or heart attack, as I had a heart attack in 2020 from COVID. Oh, okay. So you were in the emergency room for a stroke or a heart attack, and then they said there was no suicide note for me, nor was there any teacher with rope for me. It was a fraud. But if they were giving you drugs to deal with a heart attack or stroke, that maybe you did make such a statement. They injected me with chemical restraints without any reason. I got attacked. Huh. Been there. Been there. And then when was all over with, the police didn't even help me. They gave no drugs for heart attack or stroke. They changed the reason for going to the ER. The next time they tried to get me to go to the ER, I fought for my life. I don't blame you fighting after going through that kind of stuff. You know, I talked with the guy years ago, and the guy lived in subsidized housing. He couldn't work. He was in his 20s, and that poor guy, his family got him put into a mental institution when he was 10 years old. And they shot him up with Haldol on a regular basis. And they left him tied down in the mental institution. And they would come in and give him doses of Haldol. And he was just emotionally traumatized, something fierce from what had done to him. And he was never able to go to work. He was really messed up. The chase has done a lot of harm, and more harm than good, to people. Greed and pride are too strong on some people, and the view of having money to solve what problems will cause them to murder another. Who got murdered? Yeah, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Yeah, the guy was a messianic. If you're familiar with what that is, that's a person that claims to be Jewish, but also believes that Jesus was the Messiah. And I had met him at a Pentecostal church that I was going to with my family, and I started chatting with him, and I had given him a ride a couple times. Another woman got murdered for the same reason. The only murder that I know about that happened during the chase to somebody that was involved in the chase was a guy that lived in Texas that owned a trucking company, and he was murdered by his wife because the guy had got a girlfriend, and the girlfriend would call his wife up or text message his wife and say all kinds of shit to her, and got the wife, instigated the wife to the point that she went out and ran her husband off the road when he was on his motorcycle. She ended up going to prison and everything. But I thought that was really odd, because the people that were talking about it online were misrepresenting the whole story. It is an ongoing investigation, so no name. Yeah, I remember somebody mentioning something. I think they said it was out on the East Coast. I think that's what they said. Something about a camping trip. I don't know. People say so much stuff. Forrest Fenn said he would stop the chase if there was a murder. Yeah, that wasn't a very smart thing to say. There's a lot of harm no one knows about. How many of the families are going to come forward later when the truth as in answers come out? I don't know. There's statute of limitations on all kinds of things, but I don't know what one has to do with the other. If answers come out, even if there was like a solver that was being protected by having the Jack character come out, even if that person turns around and becomes public, it has nothing to do with any of the crazy stuff that people have done. And it certainly has nothing to do with people that died by an accident. Those accidents were caused by their own doing. Well, I am still alive. A few attempts were made on my life. I was also threatened by having my home burned down, being gunned down with a 22. It is stupid. I do not have money or a Netflix deal. What the heck? Threatened by having your home was burned down? Huh. Being gunned down with a 20, somebody shot you? And this is these things are happening in this peaceful town that you were talking about? Book is worthless. Yeah, I gave way more books away than sold. Yeah, I don't see any sense of anybody really putting a book out there that has to do about a solve if it can't be verified that they actually were a solver, that it's something more than just their opinion. No, I was threatened to be shot. Oh, that's really no better. But was that done in person, or is that one of these nitwits online making threats? My book is a gift of a story about the fish. It is not a solver's book, just the experience of fishing. Okay. The birds are waking up in your area. Yes, they are. In person, they threatened you. Oh, no. now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting it. The guy that talks about 22 bullets all the time. Is that the person? The DOI read the book and did not know it had anything to do with the thrill of the chase. No, family. Oh, DOI loved the story. Oh, is that Department of Interior? DOI, Department of Interior? Of course, who would be more envious of someone thought to win a lottery than those who you know? Yeah, there's lots of stories out there about people who come into large amounts of money and then have bad things happen, including family doing bad things to them. They were in the area of where I was, so it something for them. It was fun for them. Okay. Yeah, but a fish is not a large amount of money. I think if I die, they can take my book to Netflix. Yeah, that is some strange logic. Some strange logic. The sun's coming up. I think they were also scammed by a Doug impersonator too. They thought upon my death they could get millions for all of my writings. Oh my gosh. When the dream of money enters the brain, logic leaves. Yeah, that's why some people don't say anything at all. Some people can spend most of their life extremely rich and nobody has a clue. Some of the richest people in the world do not live in mansions. They live amongst the regular people. Heck, the mother of Amshel Rothschild, when Amschel became extremely wealthy, uh, he wanted his mother to move out of, oh, I forget the name of it. It's the old name for Germany. But anyhow, she lived in the Jewish ghetto there, and he wanted her to move out, and she refused to leave. She could have went anywhere in the world that she wanted to, and she wanted to stay in the ghetto that she lived in for years. When the dream of money enters the brain, all logic leaves. I already donated my writings to an organization. Did that years ago, but hey, no one believes anything. Yeah, it's hard to change people's minds when they're settled on something. You know, think about how odd it is that you probably already thought about this before, but just for conversational purposes, think about where a person's mind is that thinks that they're going to get millions of dollars on a book that isn't even selling at a profit at this point in time. It was home, and she did not want to leave behind home and friends. country only recognizes wealth, visible wealth. Everyone is encouraged to get the money. It just sets up the horrors of the old-time gold rushes. People ran off and people were robbed and even murdered for a chunk of gold. And it all became a ghost town. Yep, a ghost town with skeletons of murdered individuals and those who spent everything to get more and more money. Many times it turned out to be fool's gold. Well, that's the same way our economy functions today is based on the boom and bust cycles of a mining town. That's how the bankers and the businessmen all learned how to get all the money out of people that worked and earned money and found gold. They fine-tuned a system of boom and bust, and instead of it being mining towns nowadays, it's everything in the economy where the bankers can just bust the economy, and that screws everybody and puts people into bankruptcy and unable to pay debt, and it makes it so that the bankers can afford to pay pennies on the dollar for vast fortunes of businesses and private property and houses and everything. You know, one of the Rothschilds said, the best time to buy is when there's blood running in the streets and it's your own blood. I just think if the intent was to get people out into nature, the thrill of the chase was not a good, healthy way to do it. And those who thought they would get the box did not have a plan to continue getting people. Well, when the public land for recreation was being opened up in this country, that's the way that it was sold to the people, was to get people out of the cities and out into nature. That's the way it was sold to the public. So I think that's kind of the reason why Forrest used that kind of statement. Whatever it was that Forrest was trying to achieve, he has not told the public, and you know, that's supposed. I believe that would be what Shiloh was talking about when he's talking about his grandfather's plan, which is the true reason why he started the treasure hunt. The real reason, the primary reason, I should say. All these other ones are just secondary things made up after the fact. He had a primary reason, and I believe we're gonna get to hear that, and I would like to hear that, because there's not really anything else that we're probably going to hear about other than that. Out into nature, other than another hunt with the same problem of pride and greed. My journey was nature and stalking for generations to come to fish. It affected the future as I stalked until my back won't let me do it anymore. Yeah, it is all built upon the sand. Your own blood, yeah, how true. Yeah, think about it. Rothschild, Jewish family, talking about their own blood. That's what he's referencing, because heck, that's what happened in World War II. The Zionists convinced the German population to take out the Jewish people that remained behind in Germany because they were business people, primarily business people, and people that worked for government. So neither one of them suffered during bad economies, but the average person did. And there was no Zionists that got hurt during the Holocaust or killed. Not at all. They were in the United States and in the United Kingdom, hiding. Matter of fact, I got posted in my post section on YouTube the 1933 World's Fair in Chicago, where they had what they called a Jewish pageant, which was a reenactment of the Jewish people throwing their children into furnaces in the name of Baal and Moloch. They actually did this in this country. It's unbelievable. And it's a National Archive type film. The government kept a recording of it, and somebody got a hold of it and posted it on YouTube. It's absolutely insane. Yes, people are crazy. They absolutely are. There is no logical reason at all that people would be celebrating such a thing unless they are total, absolute lunatics, which we know that they are because they're in Palestine today, murdering children and innocent women and innocent men and just in general unarmed people so that they can steal their land. But yeah, that's a fact that people don't know about, but it's there and it's been put out into the public. I mention it every time I get an opportunity to, because I think people need to hear the truth. There's a lot of good people that don't know the truth, and they get sucked into the lies, and they feel bad for the perpetrators because they pretend to be victims. Wow. I've been out here 12 hours. So I should probably have a nap and then make a plan on something to do today out here. Yeah, I was awake 12 hours out here. I am awake a lot. Husband is not well. I'm sorry to hear that. His health has been declining. Yeah, that can take a toll on a person when a loved one's at home and their health is declining. When my mom had cancer and my family actually come down from Maine and stayed for a couple of months. And my mom was at home and she was in hospice care. And after a couple months, we decided we was going to take a break and take a respite, and we were going to go back to Maine for a couple of weeks, and then go back down to Massachusetts where she was at. So I put her in a nursing home for them a couple of weeks, and she never came back home after that. But it was bad. It was really bad. She was waking up in the middle of the night with terrors because they were giving her that Haldol stuff. And I ended up starting to wake up in the middle of the night screaming. I would just wake up and have to and just felt that I had to scream. It was horrible. That is bad stuff, Haldor. Yes, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. I talked with the nurse at the nursing home about that stuff. And I had mentioned how I thought it didn't work the way that people were claiming that it worked. That the medical professionals were giving it to people to calm them down. But even though they weren't causing a fuss, they were suffering inside in turmoil. I mean, that's stuff just makes people have all kinds of terrible thoughts, fear, deep fear. And that's why they're quiet, because they're doing all they can manage just to hold their mind together. I met a man who was injected regularly on it, and then I found him dead. Well, that's terrible. They also give seniors in hospice. I don't know what this word is. Siroc. I don't know what that is. That's supposed to be another thing that's supposed to calm people down. Another Haldol type of med, yeah. Another thing that gives a person turmoil and terrors and fear, and causes them to withdraw into themselves because they're so terrorized. And they say, "Oh, look, see, they're quiet now. Aren't you happy?" Well, if the family members knew what was actually happening to their family member, no, they wouldn't want them to be given that stuff. Husband just got up again. Okay, you should go see your husband, Sophia. You have a good day, and I hope your husband has a good day. I'll chat with you another time. It's a long journey. I keep thinking the hospital party next to bed would be worth it. Yeah, that's what we had for my mother. All right, Sophia. Bye bye. I don't know the next time I'll come on, but it'll probably be on the weekends like this. Who knows? Maybe during the middle of the week. It all depends. I know I got to cut up more wood. Most of the stuff that I cut up got burnt over the last 12 hours. All right, I'm gonna go now. Bye bye.